Nutrico vier die jaar sy 20ste bestaansjaar. Maart en Botha het in die Plaas TV-ateljee kom kuier om oor hul rol in die landbouchemiese bedryf te gesels. Simbra SA is hosting information days in March, and Kobus Bester tells us about these events, so stay tuned. But first, I'll be back shortly with the news.
Elanco, we are driven by our vision of food and companionship enriching life.
And in today's news, European dairy cooperative Hulle Foods and the Nigerian government have signed a deal to continue efforts to develop Nigeria's dairy sector. The new deal means that the parties have committed to developing the local dairy sector by promoting cooperative business structures among nomadic herders. This includes offering training and knowledge-sharing opportunities, continuing product development and focusing on sustainability and the creation of employment, along with better livelihoods for local dairy farmers. And according to a recent South African Veterinary Association report, over 50% of South Africa's young veterinarians want to leave the country. Economic and safety concerns have been cited as one reason for the decision to immigrate. Western Cape Minister of Agriculture Dr. Ivan Meyer voiced this concern, saying South Africa is not producing enough veterinarians to meet the country's needs. The international norm is between 200 and 400 veterinarians per million people. However, in South Africa, this number is 60 to 70 veterinarians per million people. According to Meyer, urgent interventions must be explored to stop and reverse the trend of young veterinarians immigrating. En die Nasionale Wolkwekersvereniging, of NWKV, is besig met die voorbereiding van 'n formele aansoek by die Departement van Landbou om Johnny se siekte as 'n aanmeldbare siekte te klassifiseer. Dit in 'n poging om die drastiese maatreëls wat tans met die siekte gepaard gaan te versag. Die siekte wat onder skape voorkom is tans as 'n beheerde siekte geklassifiseer, wat beteken dat besmette boerderyeenhede onder kwarantyne geplaas word. Dit sonder die vooruitsig dat die kwarantyne oor die korttermyn opgehef sal word, tensy drastiese maatreëls toegepas word. En dit is dan vandag se nuus. Nutrico vier vanjaar hul 20ste bestaansjaar in Suid-Afrika en in die bedryf, en ons gaan vandag meer uitvind oor hulle en hulle besigheid. Ek verwelkom graag vir Maart en Botha. Maart en welkom.
Baie dankie, Lise. Baie
Sê
lekker.
vir ons, wie is Nutrico? Wat doen julle in die landbouchemiese bedryf?
Lise, ons is 'n landbouchemiese maatskappy. Ons vervaardig landbouchemiese produkte en al ons produkte is gefokus op die behoefte van die boer. So ons maak produkte wat die landbouomgewing, die gewasproduksie hopelik verbeter. Ons vervaardig produkte in terme van biostimulante, plantvoedingsstowwe, die chemiese middels, die hulpmiddels vir die plaagbeheerbedryf. So ons het 'n diverse reeks van produkte wat ons aan die boer aan die einde van die dag verskaf. Ons doen ook ons verskaf dienste in terme van plantmateriaalontledings. Ons doen waterkwaliteitontledings, maar spesifiek gefokus op die spuitmengsel. Dit wat die boer spuit om te sorg dat daai mengsels so goed as moontlik vir die gewas sy werk kan doen. En ons het 'n paar interessante goed. Ons het in Engels nou die apps, die toeps in Afrikaans, wat ons beskikbaar het vir beide die handelaarsgroepe en vir die boer, wat hulle ook help om sekere funksies te kan verrig, om onder andere te sien as hulle nou daar in die land loop en hulle sien 'n probleem op 'n gewas, hoe om dit te identifiseer. Daar's ook weer eens in Engels die calculators, berekeningstipe toeps wat help om te bereken wat is hulle waterkwaliteit, hoe om pH reg te stel. Dit is nou 'n bietjie meer aan die chemiese kant, maar dit is waar ek vandaan kom. So dit het ons ook daarso. Ons het ook in daai selfde toeps het ons funksies sodat hulle soutte in die water wat spuitmengsels negatief beïnvloed, dit ook vir hulle help om dit reg te stel. 'n nuwe ene wat ons het, en dit is 'n redelike groot probleem in die landboubedryf, is die suurheid van die grond. Hoe suurder die grond is, hoe swakker werk jou voedingsstowwe. So ons het 'n toep wat help om grondsuurheid of die kalkbehoefte te bereken. Ons het 'n baie goeie webwerf, en die webwerf dra ook al die produkinligting.
Maart, maar hoe het Nutrico ontstaan? Ek bedoel, wat het julle geïnspireer om 20 jaar gelede al tot die bedryf toe te tree?
Wel, ek kom uit die analitiese chemiese bedryf. Ek was in beheer van 'n groot laboratoriumgroep, en hierso in 2001 het ek besluit om daai kennis te gebruik en Nutrico te begin. Soos baie maatskappytjies het hy begin in 'n dubbel motorhuis. Vandag, of sedert 2007, bedien ons al die groot handelaarsnetwerke in Suid-Afrika. Ons het in ons maatskappye 2 persele, een van hulle is ongeveer 6 hektaar groot, en ons is baie gefokus op kwaliteit, produkontwikkeling. Ons het laboratoriums, ons het proefpersele, en in die laaste 20 jaar het ons beweeg van 'n eenmansaak na 'n maatskappy wat meer as 100 personeellede het. Ons het oor die 400 produkregistrasies. Ons is in Suidelike Afrika, Europa, Suid-Amerika en dis meer. En ja, dit is alles toegeskryf aan ons personeel. Ons het 'n baie goeie personeelkorps en toegewyde mense.
Wat maak julle uniek en hoe help julle die boerderygemeenskap?
Wel, ek dink dit lê binne in ons slagspreuk. In Engels is dit better growth, better yield, better value. Ons wil beter produkte gee wat beter waarde bied, beter diens lewer, beter groei lewer aan die gewas vir die boer, en daardeur kan die boer die voordeel sien. So ons produkte is daar om die boer aan die einde van die dag te help, maar ook om veilig te wees. Nie net vir die boer in sy gebruik, sy spuit toepassing nie, maar ook vir die eindverbruiker. Daarvoor het ons het 'n hele klomp patente, gepatenteerde produkte, en die patente dra ook by tot die tipe produkaanbieding wat ons lewer.
Nutrico se fokus het die afgelope 20 jaar heelwat verander. Julle het verskuif van 'n plantvoeding vervaardiger na 'n diverse landbouchemiese vervaardiger. Nou in watter rigting beweeg julle en sien julle geleenthede vir die toekoms?
Ek dink dit sluit aan by wat ek nou net gesê het. Dit gaan al hoe meer oor veiligheid. 'n Produk wat veilig is, 'n gewas wat veilig is vir gebruik, en ook die veiligheid vir die toepassing van produkte. So ons produkte ons skuif baie meer na die biologiese. Ons het 'n wye reeks biologiese produkte wat meer microbiologies is, maar ook meer natuurlike ekstrakte. So die skuif is om in terme van harde chemie weg te beweeg na die sagter chemie. En ek dink dit is een van die groot skuwe wat ons tans doen.
Ek dink dit is wat die bedryf en die verbruiker soek, né?
Dis sy.
Ja, sy. Martin, baie dankie vir jou tyd vandag. Dankie dat jy ons meer vertel het van Nutrico.
Dankie.
En so sê Martin Botha.
Controle vir Fortuner. Julle trek ongekende terrein, hoor?
Hoor jou controle? Onder dit.
Kom in Fortuner, rowe terrein op pad. Aktiveer 4x4.
Ontvang, geluid vir aksie.
Missie voltooi, papa.
Die splinternuwe Toyota Fortuner.
Controle, daar's 'n probleem.
Gee jou verbeelding die luksheid van vryheid.
Wel, baie dankie dat ons weer met die boere kan gesels, maar ek moet na die rand kyk. Die boere en almal staan absoluut verstom oor die rand wat skielik so swak is. Nou ja, ons het 'n grys lys erkenning gekry dat Suid-Afrika se finansiële standaarde nie volgens wêreldstandaarde is nie, en dit het natuurlik die rand onder druk geplaas. En ek wil nou vir boere sê, hierdie beweging van 1667 al die pad tot by 1844 is 'n verskriklike sterk beweging. Maar ek wil vinnig vir die boere waarsku, net sê, die rand gaan dalk net verbaas en skielik nie vir so lank verswak soos wat almal dit wil hê nie, want kyk wat sien ons hier. Hierdie stochastiese indikator sê altyd vir my wanneer die prys te ver na 'n kant toe beweeg het. En hier sien ons dit baie duidelik. Hierdie vlakkie staan op 'n 97, so dit sê vir jou dat die rand het baie sterk verswak. En elke keer wanneer hy daai hoogtepunt haal, dis nie lank daarna nie, dan kom hy terug. Kyk wat het vorige keer gebeur. Hy het hom hier gekry by 1796, hy het gegaan tot by 1840 en toe draai om. Maar wat dit wel vir ons sê, as die rand hoe hierdie klein vlakkie van 1859 kan kom, dan moet ons versigtig wees, dan kan die rand dalk self na R19 toe gaan. En onthou die langtermyn steenlyn van die rand lê by hierdie 40 week bewegende gemiddelde en daar lê hy by 17.20. So terwyl die rand bo 17.20 beweeg, moet jy weet sien ons is verswakkende rand vir die toekoms en solank hy onder 1860 is, het ons dalk 'n kansie vir 'n lekker terugtrekkie, miskien nie na 1760 toe. So ek wil vir boere raad gee en net sê kyk uit, pas julle aan daaraan en dink aan julle sagte kommoditeitspryse. Besoek gerus ons webtuiste www.fransklerk.com vir meer inligting en ons gesels weer.
I'm now chatting to Kobus Bester, Breed Director of Simbra SA. They are hosting some beef cattle information days in March and we're going to find out more. Welcome, Kobus.
Hi, Jide, and thank you for having me.
Kobus, first tell us, where did the idea come from to hold these information days?
Deirdre, the idea is basically, or has been born out of the Stockman School that's hosted every year by the LRF. After the Stockman School, a lot of breeders, people farming with beef cattle in South Africa approached me and asked me that they're really looking for something extra, something whereby they can really aid their own farming operations, making it more sustainable. We're living in challenging times and it's really important for producers, beef producers, to be sustainable. And they specifically asked us to do something whereby we can focus on what's locally applicable, in other words, in the South African environment. And that gave us the idea to really address specific issues. And it's things that was brought up by the public, by beef producers, and areas of concern. And that's why we felt we have to address these needs. And that gave birth to these two information days.
So tell us a bit more about who is Simbra SA.
Simbra SA is a stud breeders society. We've got about 130 members, around about 28,000 registered cattle. And so we are definitely serious role players within the beef production system in Southern Africa, because we also include Namibia and some people in Botswana as well. But what's really important is that we are there to serve the industry. So this is not really just about Simbra. It is true that, Simbra is presenting it, but that's just a coincidence. It's really about our role within the beef industry. A lot of our bulls, a lot of our females go out into industry, and it's important that we are in touch with the producer, working in the field, the producer using our product. But it's important that we really inform and educate and uplift also the producers out there.
So you have quite a big reach. Please take us through the program of the Information Days. Who are the speakers and what topics will they be discussing?
There are 2 Information Days planned. The first day we're going to focus mainly on new breeders, new beef producers, people who are new to the industry. So what we found out of the feedback that we've received in the past is that there's a lot of new people entering the industry, and they do not necessarily come from a family background where they could learn from grandfather and father and so forth. So there's a lot of new role players within the industry. So it's very important that we understand that there's been a gap created whereby somehow these people also need to be serviced in terms of how to go about to be successful beef producers. And so basically what we're going to do is on the first day, we're going to focus on new role players in the field of beef production. There are main areas that we would like to focus on. It's very important to understand that whenever you produce beef, what you would in essence try to do or would need to achieve is to convert low quality felt or grazing available into a high value product. So in other words, predominantly people would like to, for example, focus on converting grass into a weaner calf that they can then sell off. So that is part of our main focus, to really make sure that we address that need. So when we look at that, it's important to have experts talking on grazing systems, how grazing work, etc., how to look after your farm, because one of your most valuable assets on your farm is for sure the grass that you produce. Secondly, it's important that you also need to understand how to manage your herd correctly in terms of good health. Therefore, we also got experts in, and I will go to their names now. But what is important is that we need to understand that there are certain aspects that are a necessity to be sure that you are sustainable on your farm. So once you've sorted out your grazing, it's important to have a very well thought through and properly planned inoculation plan together with a program to do parasite control. So for that reason, we also got an expert in that field. What's also very important, especially when you're looking at novice farmers, is that they need to understand and they need to know what are the bare essentials that you need to have on your farm for an emergency situation. Let's say if there's an outbreak of red water or gall sickness. How do you treat that? So we're quite fortunate in that regard. We're going to have Dr. Johan Kluter with us on both days. He will assist farmers in giving them proper tested guidelines in terms of how to sustain good herd health. It's important to not just treat specific incidents, but it's really of value to look at the whole herd or the herd as a whole and make sure that the herd is a highly effective reproductive unit. So Dr. Kluter is going to address that. He will make sure and he will assist us in making sure that we have a proper inoculation program, a proper program for the treatment of different parasites, and then certain emergent things that may creep up. Often people tend to ignore the fact that we have difficult births from time to time within animals. The fact of the matter is that about 3% of all births are dystocia. In other words, it's an abnormal presentation of the newborn in the birth canal. You as a farmer, you as a beef producer need to know exactly how to go about. Now, the exactly is a hard word to use perhaps in this context, but it's important that you know what to do, how to go about, when to call for expert assistance. It's things like that. The times that we are living in is such that we cannot afford to lose a single animal. Not a cow, not a heifer, and also not a calf. So on the first day, we will touch on topics like what I've just mentioned to you, because it's really important that we make sure that we make a difference. We really have to make sure that we can produce animals in an effective manner And by losing cows here and there, for example, it's simply not good enough. Then also we've got experts from Molotech who's going to address us on a feed and lick program. It's very important. Nowadays, stocking rate, we all know the value of stocking rate when it comes to farming, but what's really important is that by putting more pressure on your available resources, being grass the number one resource, it's critically important to supplement as need be to maintain the correct levels of production and specifically reproduction. That is of absolute utmost importance. So we're going to bring experts in to assist us in that so that we really address those critical issues. That's very, very important. We're mainly going to focus on that on the first day. We're also going to, we will be addressed by Isaac Hofmeyer, for example, who will touch on specific issues. He's in the industry, he knows what's going on. We're really looking forward to information that he will share with us. On the second day, we're going to change things a little bit. On the first day, we're focusing a lot on the female herd, heifers, cows, etc., and then a holistic approach towards herd health. And then what we're going to do in the second day, we're going to shift the focus slightly, a little bit more on the bulls. But what is very important and that people must realize also is on both days, we're going to do a discussion of the animals themselves. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a phenotypic discussion whereby we're going to explain to people the difference between a good heifer and perhaps a not so good heifer. We need to know and we need to understand that we're in beef production, and therefore, for example, conformation is very important. But it's not only about conformation. We need to be able to teach people to realize which of the 10 animals, the 10 heifers I'm looking at, we can assume would be the more fertile ones. Now, we cannot see what's going to happen inside the body of an animal, but there are ways and means whereby we can assess an animal in terms of a phenotypic characteristics and determine by going about in that way the more fertile, the more structurally sound, higher productive animals. And that is also going to be part of the focus that we're going to place some emphasis on. So we're really planning these 2 days. The first day focusing on the cow herd, specifically heifers, and then the cows themselves, everything that entails, including then the phenotypic assessment of those animals. And then in the second day, or during the second day, we're going to place more emphasis on the value of the bull. The bull's contribution, how to look after the bull, how to feed the bull. So on the second day, Johan Maton from Molotech is going to put a lot of emphasis on how to make sure that you maintain your bull in the proper and correct condition to really be able to utilize that bull to its fullest. A bull should be one of the highest or biggest investments in any beef operation, and therefore we need to make sure that that bull is in sound condition, able to do his job, and that is to sire calves. Now, often I tell people it's like having a tractor with very, very smart, very fancy, very modern planting equipment. A bull is exactly that. The same way that you need to look after that tractor, that you have to service it, all the things you have to do to the tractor, the bull is not different. You need to be sure that the bull is healthy and that the has an ability not only to mate, but really also an ability to have his females conceive. So that's what the business is about. So Johan Maton will then address the feeding issues, and Dr. Johan Klute will then continue and tell us a little bit more and teach us more about the value of having good semen, how to get to good semen, what is good semen, and then also as far as sexually transmitted diseases among cattle, he will address that issue. So it's something that we believe is really of utmost importance. In South Africa, a lot of calves, especially in our rural areas, are going missing because of diseases that could have been tested for, could have been avoided. So it's really about an holistic approach to make sure that we address the right things to enable sustainable, profitable beef production on our farms. We're also quite fortunate to have Professor Frikkie Marie addressing us, and especially nowadays we know that the beef prices are under pressure. We're really looking forward to what he's going to share with us, because it's very important to understand where does my business fit into the bigger picture within the South African economy, within the agricultural sector. We know the importance and the value that the South African agriculture sector contribute towards the economy. But it's critically important that we understand the different facets so that we know when to make what decisions. And I'm quite positive and looking forward to what Professor Frikkie Maria is going to share with us.
So sustainability is the word of the day.
Oh, for sure.
So who should attend these days?
Each and every beef producer within the South African context will be able to get something out of these 2 days. The first day, we're definitely going to focus more on the beginner farmer, commercial farmer, whereby the second day we're going to up it a little bit. The intensity is going to be up somewhat, and for those days, for the second day, definitely more focus on perhaps seed stock producers, but not excluding commercial guys. It's important for commercial guys to understand the whole circle. So that's why it's really, we would like to see that each and every person involved in beef production should attend these 2 days. We're going to make it worth their while. You're going to be taught what the animal should look like. We're going to have a physical discussion also on bulls on the second day. So the first day we're going to do the phenotype of the female. The second day, the phenotype of the male, the bull. We're going to make specific reference to how you should sort out your feed program, your lick program, your health program. So we're really looking forward to make a contribution towards the industry, the beef industry as a whole.
And where can prospective attendees get more information regarding these days?
They are very welcome to contact myself. They can contact me on my cell number 083-303-4422. Mrs. Charmaine Alberts is doing our bookings for us. She can be contacted on 082-922-3747. And also our Facebook page, very important to always have a look on the Simbra Cattle of Southern Africa. I'm going to repeat it, Simbra Cattle of Southern Africa. On the Facebook page, we're going to put a lot of information out there. And then also at our office, Mr. Matthew Kinghorn is there. You're welcome to contact him as well. All the details will be available on social media. Please go and have a look, and please make sure that you book in time. We've got a number of bookings already, and we don't want people to lose out on it. It's going to include a lunch. What's very important is people need to know it's going to be an interactive day whereby they will have sufficient opportunity to discuss things with the specialists we got in. For example, Dr. Mias van der Westhuizen, who's going to talk on grazeland. He's one of the best, most knowledgeable people on the topic in Southern Africa and reckoned worldwide. But since he's local, he understands our conditions. So it's very important that you make use of the opportunity to be addressed by him, to really sort out critical issues. So, please make sure that you follow up with us. There's going to be a lunch included, like I've mentioned, and we're going to allow enough time to interact with the speakers, and also to make sure that when you leave there, you will have a proper knowledge of what the fertile heifer, cow and bull should look like and what you can expect of them.
Thank you very much, Kobus. There you have it. These days will take place on the 15th and 16th of March at the Afridome in Parys. So if you haven't booked your spot yet, make sure to do so.